Hello and welcome to Community Action, a show where we take a look at nonprofits and businesses around Columbus County and see how they're helping to improve the lives of the citizens of Columbus County each and every day. Today we are talking about the toy store once again. This is our third or fourth time we've talked about the toy store over the past few years. And my guests today are Reverend Darryll Hester and Reverend Titus Caraway. And so welcome, we're glad to have you with us today.
Good to be here.
Let me ask a general question to start off with. Tell me, how did the toy store get started and how long has it been going on in Columbus County?
I began working with Toy Store when I was pastor over in the Brunswick County area. And when I came here in 2010, I brought the idea over to the association here, the Columbus Baptist Association. And our first toy store was 2011. And so this year will make 10 years that we, this will be our 10th toy store, that 10th year anniversary. And so we're looking forward to a great year.
And Darryll, let me ask you, what happens when the folks get to the toy store?
When they get to the toy store, first they have to be referred by a pastor or guidance counselor at school or other organizations. But when they get to the toy store, they're greeted this year by the registration, where they will go in and register, let us know that they are the ones for that appointment time. And then as they go through the process, they will be taken with some shopper helpers that will take them over to the store. And once they go through the shopping process there, then they will go through to counseling, and we'll see if there's other needs they may have, and also see if there's any spiritual needs they have.
And what about the cost of the toy store? How does that work with the clients coming in, the families coming in to shop? What kind of a cost is involved?
There is a cost, and this is kind of like a hand, giving a helping hand, but at the same time giving them the ability to feel like they've got a part in this. All the toys are priced at 10 cents on the dollar, which means if it costs $20 at a store, in the toy store, it's going to cost $2. And so that money goes back into buying more toys.
So it still gives them the dignity of being able to say,
Exactly.
I bought toys for my kids without having to pay the full price. And
Exactly. In years past, a lot of them, they received toys that had been selected by somebody. They gave it to them. They didn't have a choice in picking those out. And with this, they can pick them out, and they can say, like you said, they had a part in purchasing those toys.
now let's talk a little bit about the volunteers that it takes each year to run the toy store. I'm sure that it's more than just the actual store itself. Like, I know that in years past you've told me how much planning goes on during the year and other events. So talk to me about the volunteers and what kind of jobs do they do and how many does it take?
Yes, it's the volunteers. It is not just the week of the toy store. We began working on this in May. We start having meetings. We have a steering committee that works with the different aspects of the toy store. We see where maybe this year we need to make changes, and especially this year we are having to make changes because of the COVID pandemic. We plan the different activities. We have people that go out and contact businesses. We have two individuals, yourself and another one, that helps us with the grants. There are groups that will donate money. Corporate sponsors, the golf tournament. We had a very successful golf tournament this year on September the 12th. Then we have a lot of volunteers with that. And we had, I guess it's about 120 people playing in the tournament. Then we have the referrals that come in, and once they come in, we send out letters of invitation. And when they receive those letters, they're given a date that they can call in and make appointments. We have to set up people to receive the calls on 2 different days in November. And then we also have to go shopping. And we have several volunteers lined up already for that. After that, then we have to set up, make sure that toys are priced, and set up the store and get everything ready. Then we have all the volunteers that we have for the toy store itself. It can be up to 150 volunteers that we have throughout the year working with this.
It's quite an undertaking.
Yes, it is.
You mentioned the differences you're going to have to make this year because of the pandemic. Let's talk about that for just a minute. How are we going to make sure that things are safe for those that come through the toy store to shop? What are you going to be doing differently than you've done in the years past?
This year we'll be still at the same location that we have been doing, and but we are going to be spreading it out a little bit as far as the church campus is concerned, and the place that we will be receiving the people is going to be separate from the building, the other building, and they will have a big area that they can, be socially distanced. We're going to provide PPEs for the people so that they can, make sure they're safe. Also, as far as the shoppers, helpers, all of that, we're going to make sure that people are spread out and contact is very minimal to, as far as physical contact is concerned.
So you've thought this through, and it's not just going to be a haphazard response. You're making plans even now so that everyone is safe and can come through and still have the same experience while maintaining the requirements that are in place now.
Exactly. We don't want to take anything away from what we've done in the past, and our goal is we've always made sure that the individuals, they feel like kings and queens coming in, that we're giving them all the support that we can. This year they may not be able to see our smile because of masks, but we always say, always smile.
If someone wants to donate toys or donate monetary funds to the toy store, how do they go about doing that? I'm sure that it's quite an undertaking. You said you shop, and it doesn't come free. You've got to have funds to do this. Yes. So what can people do to donate? How much does it take to do all this?
When we first started out, I think we raised about $11,000, $12,000, something like that. And we currently, the past couple of years, we've been bringing in around $32,000 to $34,000, and so we are getting close to our goal. We still could use donations of toys, brand new toys. That's what we deal with. We will be going and buying toys. Those toys can be dropped off at the Columbus Baptist Association office. That's located on Thompson Street. And also, if they want to make donations and if they want to volunteer, a number to call is 642-2155.
In looking at the numbers of toys that you get and the donations and the grants and the volunteers, sounds to me like this is not just a church event. This is literally a community-wide event. Is that true?
It is. We are, as far as volunteers, as far as donations, it is a community event. We have a lot of businesses and corporations that have been a part of this, and we keep bringing in new ones each year. And the volunteers themselves, they come from churches not only within the Columbus Baptist Association, but they come from other denominations as well. And so it is encompasses the whole community. And this is one of the goals, not only to help the people that are in need and the children that helps out, but to also bring in, to help people come together and work together for this common goal.
Titus, let me ask you, how does the toy store work when somebody wants to be involved? What's the process?
Well, the process is going to be that they'll have to be referred by any number of organizations. And once they have been referred, then they'll be mailed a letter later on in the month, I believe, of October, that will be giving them an invitation to the toy store. And also in that, it'll give them instructions as far as to call in and set up that appointment. And that will be done first or second week of November.
Now, when they call in, the letter gives them the instructions to call in, but
Right.
if they don't call in, they don't get the appointment.
That's right. If they don't call in, if they think they can call later, they'll miss out. And so it's urgent that they read that, follow the instructions, and make that phone call on those days that will be assigned for the call in. And I believe it's going to be a 12-hour period each day, I believe from 8 to 8 each day. So that gives ample time. It's a 24-hour period, actually. So they'll be able to have plenty of time to call in. So we can't stress that enough because we have had some clients to miss out.
Now, Titus, what about the counseling aspect and the follow-up of the toy store itself? Darryl's shared with us how they go through the process of going through the toy store, but when they get to the counseling area, what happens then?
Well, when they get to the counseling areas, we arrange, and that is the biggest part of my task with the toy store, is to line up and arrange for counselors come in, and usually they're mostly pastors, and that counseling is to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. That is the main objective of Toy Store. The side benefit is being able to help children that are less fortunate actually to be able to have a good Christmas. So that counseling is going to be in part of dealing with the gospel of Jesus Christ to find out their relationship with the Lord, and if they want to make a decision for Christ, it's their decision, or rededicate their life, it's their decision. Nothing is forced, but it takes that time, just to present the gospel of Jesus Christ. It is the goal of the toy store.
Now, are there other areas that are talked about in the counseling? I mean, are you able to refer them to other agencies if there's a need?
We are able to do that. Now, that is just a referral to other agencies if they share any issues
Right.
that they may have other than,
Right.
Christmas time. It can be a very difficult time of year for many
Sure.
people. And so many of them, they come in, they're so humble. And like most of us are embarrassed to even say, I'm in this kind of trouble, I need this kind of help. But we want to encourage them to be open and share with their counselor that they'll sit with for a few minutes if they have any other problems, and then we can make the referrals through all the information we get from the clients in that counseling room.
Now, what about follow-up?
Well, follow-up is done. We gather all of those up after the toy store. Of course, it'll be after Christmas time. We get that all lined up, and at the Columbus Association office, all of those will be put on spreadsheet and shared with pastors in the area, no matter if they're in our association or not. If it's a church that's nearby, that a pastor can follow up on those that have made decisions for Christ or rededicated their life. Or those that may need further counseling, then they're presented, given the opportunity where we can still go out, like the Billy Graham Crusade. That's where I got saved in 1973, and I know it was just within a couple of days, the Billy Graham Association had follow-up and people coming to my house, and we lived out in the stick back in those days, and they followed up rapidly, and that's what we try to do in the same manner. And so that enables us to make sure the decision the people have made in the counseling room, that they are sure of what that decision was and help them to guide and hopefully get them in a church that they feel the Lord would want them to be a part of so they can serve Him, worship Him.
Now, Darryll mentioned a moment ago that things will be different this year because of the pandemic. What about the counseling area? Are they going to take precautions in those areas as well?
They will have it. We will all have masks on back there as they come, directed back to the counseling area. And we'll do all the sanitation things that we can do, wipe down
In
hands
between each client.
in between each client, even wiping down the seats, because we want to make sure everyone is safe. And I know there's a lot of fear in people about the pandemic and the things that have been taking place this year. And it's been heavy on everyone's heart. I'm sure that we all almost feel like prisoners in our own home, but to think of the alternative, then we do these things and to keep our families safe. And so we want to make sure everyone that comes in can rest assured that they are safe in coming into the counseling room, because we'll have masks and also sanitation products in the rooms to make sure that everyone is wiped down or wiping hands and such.
Now, Titus, you talked about the fact that this is the 10th year, and we've been doing this for a while. And how many families did you deal with last year, and what kind of children were involved?
That's the blessing of it, really, and it gives me chill bumps all over right now, is the thinking that, well, last year we were able to help 172 families, and that's quite a number. And if you look back over the years, we've had hurricanes and such as that has come up, and we've still had numbers of people able to come in, even though they've been displaced by their homes, and that's great that we've been able to help. I'm sorry, and my heart goes out to these families because they may be having a difficult time,
Right.
but it happens to everyone. And I'm so thrilled that the toy store is able to help so many families. And it's not only 172 families and people being able to, feel so good about being able to do for their children, but 563 children had a great Christmas last year because of the toy store, and all those volunteers who helped, those that donated in one way or another, is what made it possible.
Now, Titus, you talked about the counseling a moment ago, and that the goal of the toy store is to share the gospel. How many people have accepted the gospel message over the 10 years or 9 years that this has been going on?
Well, I don't have an exact number, but I know it's somewhere over 250 people have made decisions for Christ. Now, that is salvation and rededication of their lives to the Lord. We have many that say that they may not want to do it right now, but the seed is planted.
Sure.
That's the important thing. And I must say this, if it only been one over the 9 years, this ministry is worth it. It's worth every bit of the time put in to make sure it takes place.
So you're not just meeting physical needs and monetary needs, you're meeting spiritual needs as well.
Exactly, and that is our goal.
Titus, you talked a few moments ago about the referral process and what happens once somebody gets referred, but how does somebody get referred to the toy store? What does that process entail?
That's another process in itself, and I'm glad that we have so many who are organizations who take part in that. I must stress, and this is important, that the families cannot refer themselves. It can be done by the pastors, by Department of Social Services, school counselors and teachers. Also, Living Hope Pregnancy Care Center is involved in that. The Columbus County Sheriff's Office is another organization, and also Columbus County Concerned Bikers. As a matter of fact, they'll be having a toy run, I believe, the first Saturday of December. And when you see all those motorcycles, that's what they're doing, gathering toys that have been donated. And so they're a big help to us, and I appreciate that a great deal. And then there is Columbus Regional Healthcare and also Cape Fear Life Care Center that are involved. Only these groups can refer a family to the toy store.
Darryll mentioned a moment ago that this is a community-wide effort, and I know that this being the 10th year, it started out rather small, but it's grown. And are you taking on new partners each year and new organizations that want to get involved as the word spreads?
Oh, yes. Anyone who wants to come and take part, the number that he gave, 642-2155, and Teresa will be there to answer phone, or yourself. And, you know, if they want to take part in it, they can join in. We welcome all of those that want to come in to volunteer, to help in whatever capacity they feel they fit in. And that's what's been a blessing too. It's been a great time every year, and this one is going to be no different, even though we may be masked. We'll still be having a great time getting it all set up.
Now, Titus, as we have just a few minutes left, you've been involved with this from the beginning.
Yes.
And do you have any particular stories that stick in your mind that just cause you to think fondly of how well the toy store has done?
There are so many, and I've, in the process of the beginning, the planning and such as that, but when the toy store is in action, I'm back there with the counseling. And that is a blessing in itself to meet these, and I've got so many, but one in particular really stands out. Was a young father who came in with 3 daughters he has, and sadly his wife and the mother left them all. And he came in, I sat there with him and shared with him, and he told me all that had gone on in his life. And I shared with him Jesus Christ. He looked at me and he said, I work with a preacher, and he's been talking to me about Christ. And I said, well, who was he? He gave me the name of the pastor, and he's part of our association. And I said, oh, yeah, he's a dear man. And I said, and he's talked to you about Jesus Christ? He said, yes. I said, well, let me talk to you a little bit more. And I shared with him the gospel. And before I could even get halfway through, the man broke down in tears and just said, yes, I want Christ in my life. And that one has really stood out to me, because he had gone through such heartbreak, and there he was by himself raising his 3 daughters. And he realized that the peace was coming from Christ. And he told me right then, after we prayed together, he said, I can feel the peace of God in my heart, in my life right now. So things like that happen, and it's worth all the hard work that goes into it. It's worth it. And if he'd have been the only one, like I said earlier, it'd have been worth it all, every bit of the 10 years. And I must say this too, I am thankful to the Lord that no matter what hurricane may have come, he has seen us through, and we have reached the goals each and every time when we wondered, where is it going to come from? And there's God.
Well, I want to thank both of you for being here with us today and joining us, and thank you for being a part of this show. And we look forward to seeing you the next time as we take a look at another nonprofit organization or business in Columbus County and see just exactly how they're helping the citizens of Columbus County improve their days each and every day. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.